Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Tuesday, the 25th of Safar, 1445, corresponding with the English date, 12th of September 2023. Hazrat Wala starts off this Majlis by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid. واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا. So beautiful. If you just go over and see the translation of हज़रत थानवी, ए नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, अपने आप को इन लोगों के साथ मुक़य्यद रखा कीजिए जो सुबह शाम अपने रब के इबादत महज उसकी रज़ाए जोई के लिए करते हैं और दुनियावी ज़िंदगानी की रौनक के ख़याल से आपकी आंखें उनसे हटने न पावे, और ऐसे शख्स का कहना न मानिए जिसका कल्ब को हमने अपनी याद से गाफिल कर रखा है और वो अपनी नफसानी ख्वाहिश पर चलता है और इसका हाल हद से गुजर गया है. Bayanul Quran. So here Allah Ta'ala is saying to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, commanding him, and when he's telling him, giving him this command, he's asking him to exercise sabr. And sabr is normally exercised or carried out when a person has to undergo difficulty. So most definitely it was difficult for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He had to leave that, he had to come, he had to undergo difficulty. So Allah Ta'ala uses that the word of sabr, wasbir nafsaka, keep yourself with those who invoke their sustainer morning and evening, seeking his countenance. Let not your eyes overlook them, seeking the adornment of this worldly life. Pay no heed to the one whose heart we have rendered heedless of our remembrance, who follows his own lusts and whose case exceeds all bounds. So Allah Ta'ala is all aware of the intention. MashaAllah, you people have been coming, and this silsila of this bayan here that carries on here in the morning is for some many long years now. What Allah Ta'ala will give you is beyond what we can even expect. It's unimaginable. Normally we say this to the talaba and the students, that your status is so great and you have come in the pursuit of knowledge, and if death comes in all of this year, you would be so successful. We gather in the morning, we gather in the evening, we gather in the masjid, all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It comes in the hadith that Allah Ta'ala will ask the person, rather he asks the malaika, that you people went down after they changed their shifts. Listen, how did you find them? And then they would say that somebody was in their own majlis of drinking liquor, etc., sharabi, kababi, and the other one was that in the majlis and in the gathering of Quran and Hadith. This year is some great fortune for us. Ye hamare liye saadat hai. Not for me, but rather for you who come. When we were in Bombay, and Hazrat Wala, Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, he used to also have his majlis at this time of the day, mid-morning time, maybe at about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And some very senior, influential people who used to come, which people of dunya would understand like this or like that. They would come and they would do menial works like setting up the tent and putting the speakers, the sound system, the loudspeaker, etc. So they done all of that. They lifted up their foot in the direction of Allah so that they could do this type of dini khidmat. And Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to ask me, go and see what's happening. And when I used to tell him about this year, he used to express his joy and happiness at this. So we say this to the talaba. And Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say this year to the people who used to attend the Majlis, that your rank is also like that. He used to say this to the people who used to come and sit for i'tikaf, and he used to make the tashrih and explain it and give that a type of understanding for these people and fit them into this type of category as well. So, wasbir nafsaka ma'al ladina. Keep yourself with who? With those who are invoking or who invoke, who call out their Rabb morning and evening seeking His countenance. Seeking His countenance. Now from this also we learn about its established year, about ijtimai dhikr, gathering to make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, here so many people come, they go, they are zakir, shagil, they carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and other spiritual exercises as well. You know, this sitting after the Fajr Salat until Ishraq, which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to carry out, this year is becoming less day by day. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to do this himself. You know, this is, it was not only for the ummah, it was for him as well. Look at how Allah Ta'ala puts it and presents it. Utlu ma uhiya, directly commanding Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam to recite Al-Quran. And Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say, this is the fundamental distinguishing factor between a Nabi and a king. A Nabi himself tells the people, but himself, whatever he's telling the people, first and foremost, he's most paband of it. Whereas a king will give out this, that, and the other, dishing out orders to his subordinates and to the citizens, but he would not practice on it himself. Nevertheless, make dua that Allah Ta'ala gives shifa. Hazrat Shah Abdul Aziz has written, from the asbab and the means of hidayat, from the very greatest points of that, and the foremost ones, is that of good health. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself asked Allah for good health. Allahumma inni as'aluka sihhata wal iffata wal amanata wa husna al khulq wal rida bil qadr. You know, Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, when he was ill, he said, Qamar Zama, tell me, I'm not well in that. And out of aqidat and having absolute confidence and trust, your i'tiqad in your shaykh, I said to him, Hazrat, even in this halat and in bimari, so much of work is carried out. There's nothing less. There's no deficiency in it. He said, no, not like that. When a person has good health, he's able to do dini khidmat more easily, open-heartedly, and with a light and a clear mind, as opposed to a person who is sick. He cannot do that with that amount of inshirah and openness, etc., with that ease. Look here, no health. This is why I am laying down like this. Allah Ta'ala keep us steadfast on His deen, and whichever halat Allah keeps us in, we should be pleased with that. You know, there's a mashhur waqia of a person who passes away, and then he is lowered into the grave, and then his hisab starts there, where the angels come and say, Mar Rabbuk? And then he answers that, what are you talking about? Now look at how much of istihzar and how much it was in the most foremost part of their minds and their hearts, he's saying to the angel who's asking the question, what do you think and what are you asking? Are you asking me about the Rabb, and do you think that I have forgotten him by just merely coming 2 foot down here into this grave? That's how much the thought, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had overwhelmed them. Now, will be the condition, that when your entire life it was like this here, then there will be no one to then give you a talqeen and remind you that there in the grave when you asked about it. وَمَا أَدِينُك, what is your deen? Al-Islam. وَمَنْ هَذَا الرَّجُلُ, regarding the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I went to the Ijtima myself. Maybe you were there as well. Hazrat Wala is saying to one of the attendees in that Majlis there, Maulana Inamul Hasan spoke, and he said, all this year what we are doing, this mehnat and this koshish, is all in the name so that we may answer the 3 questions in the grave. We had Mauli Musa Saheb there in Tanabawan. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to speak about this. And what he used to say, and loudly he used to say, Ab nadun denge hargiz, pata mil gaya, Nabi mil gaya, Khuda mil gaya. Now I will never search and look for, never ever. I found the address, I found the Nabi, so thus I have now found Allah. I will discontinue looking. I will now never look, because I found the address, I found Nabi, so therefore now I have found Allah. So Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to relate this to us so much, because he used to say that, and the people in the Khanqa used to say, what did Mauli Musa, what's he saying? That now I will stop looking, I found the address. People would turn their attention to him, and then he would complete those couplets. And Ana Jana, all this coming and going to sit with the Buzrugs is all for this, so that we find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now all of this here is in the name of making preparations that a person can reach the Nabi. Once he reaches the Nabi, he has reached Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now what about the waqia and the incident of Bu Ali Sina? That he wanted to go and adopt the path and go without the tawassut and the wasila, or the path of the Nabi. Therefore, he could then not go or tread that path. So Allah Ta'ala has stipulated and designated for us, and He has made the means for it. Therefore, ihtimam of sunnah is very, very important. How a person retires to bed in the end of the day, how he stands up. So Hazrat Fatima radiyallahu ta'ala anha, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam comes to her place, and then he sees this a parda that was there, that curtain, which was bark. Maybe it could have been very, very loud and bright, etc. Or it could have been such, like how others speak about it and make tashri of it, that it had pictures on it. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not happy with that. He left. But the waqia goes on that when Hazrat Fatima radiyallahu ta'ala anha comes to find out about that, then immediately she removes it. She removes it. We went to Bombay, And we're speaking about the zikr here where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is commanded himself to leave his private chamber and join the Sahaba in them making dua to Allah and zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We were in Bombay. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab came outside so that he could take his walk, etc. Nevertheless, I also came out so that I could meet him. He was leaving now. And then at that time, what did he do? He reprimanded me. He scolded me. And he said, where? Why? And how? What are you doing here? Go. You know what you're supposed to be doing now. Meaning, you're supposed to be sitting after the Fajr Salat, engage in zikrullah until the time of Ishraq. So there's great importance attached to the seekers. Now here Allah Ta'ala says, Abasa wa tawalla an ja'ahu al-a'ma wa ma yudrika la'allahu yazzakka aw yadhakkaru fatanfa'ahu adh-dhikra amma man istaghna fa anta lahu tasadda. As for him, as for these Qurayshi leaders, they were so indifferent, they did not care. Fa anta lahu tasadda, to them, to him, do you attend instead of seeing to the blind Muslim who was sincere, who had talab in him? So talab is something very, very great. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Allamani." Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Maktoum came and he said, "Allimni ya Rasulullah, teach me." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was occupied in inviting and giving dawat and tabligh to the Qurayshi leaders, because he understood from that listen, if they accept, there would be great then ease and with great momentum and with a greater pace and force, the deen would then spread. But immediately there and there, Allah Ta'ala takes Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to task. That why are you worried about these people who are indifferent, and you are turning a blind eye to the one who is filled with enthusiasm and he is a true seeker. So much has been written that hypothetically, if we say that if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have hidden some type of ayat of the Quran Majid, then he would have hidden the surah, because it is so openly and clear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala scolds Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and reprimands him at this point here. So the talibin, the seekers, there is much appreciation for them. Their talab, their enthusiasm, this year what they come with never ever goes in vain. This is a very great ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nevertheless, we have this practice here as well. After the Fajr Salat until Ishraq, and after the Maghrib Salat for some while. So مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ. So I was saying to you that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab then reprimanded me in front of everyone. That go, what were you supposed to be doing now? So to say, we're speaking about zikr, Allah just once, it is better than this entire dunya and whatever it contains. You people are so much better. It is your barakat that I am saying something here. Allah Ta'ala bless us with His muhabbat and with His nisbat. People used to go to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah. It was Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Gangohi, Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahab, Hazrat Maulana Mohammad Hussain Alahbadi. And what he used to say to them, the Shaykh is saying to them that you people are better than me. I am just sitting here. You have come out in the search of Allah. So you are better than me. What was he trying to do? He was explaining to them, of course, the essence and the genuineness of what was actually in his heart. But more than that, he was trying to teach them the great appreciation one should have for the true seekers, the true talib. How much of qadr is for them. This is what he was trying to put deeply down in their hearts. So now Sheikh Sadi goes on to say regarding the tafsir of this particular ayat, the ayat وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ. Sheikh Sadi goes on to say that this verse instructs us to be in the company of good people and to impose on the self to remain in their company and intermingle with them even if they are poor. This is because there are countless benefits in being in their company. You know, Hazrat Wala is quoting the incident of this person. On one occasion, he went to his friend's house. It is the time of iftari. The friend says, come join, let's make iftari. And at that time, he didn't eat. His friend already then calculates and understands what's going on here. He says, okay, now what's the worst case scenario? You may have become murtad, kafir, left the fold of Islam, but there's food here, now eat. And then he tells him, it was his friend after all, he tells him, listen, tomorrow, first thing in the morning, go and meet Sheikh Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi. Now look at this here. He's coming from this side. And Sheikh Fadlur Rahman Ganj Muradabadi is there in his veranda. And he's seeing this person coming. And he jumps over the half wall, going towards him with the space, taking his palm and then striking it at the chest of this person once, twice, thrice, and then saying to him, now tell me, what doubt of Islam do you still have in your heart? Allahu Akbar. So all of us have the zimmedari and this type of responsibility. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Allamani Rabbi. My Rabb taught me, therefore my ta'aleem has become the best. وَأَدَّبَنِي رَبِّي فَأَحْسَنَ تَأْدِيبِي. My Rabb taught me adab, culture, etiquette, adab, manners, conduct. Therefore, this aspect of mine has also become the best. So, when this is the case, and this is the reality, that the ta'aleem of Rasulullah is the greatest and the best, and his adab is the best, then tell me, by following his shariat, will you not find then the best in everything there? You know, what can I tell you? मैं समझता हूँ कि ये बहुत ही उम्दा किताब है. This year, this Asharu Qawaid fi Tazkiyatin Nufus is an exceptional kitab. So, we're speaking about good company here. We're speaking about good company. Now here, Qazi Iyaz, rahimahullah, said in the explanation of this hadith, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam cites an example of a good companion and an evil companion, he says, regarding that the hadith teaches us to abstain from intermingling with evil people, sitting in the company of mischief mongers, those who introduce innovations in Islam, and people who backbite. This is because the influence of all these will penetrate the one who sits in their company. The hadith encourages us to sit in the company of good people from whom we could acquire knowledge, etiquette, good manners, and praiseworthy characteristics. The author thereafter goes on to say, it is therefore a person's duty to seek out friends who will help him in doing good. They are one of the greatest means of tazkiyah and rectification of the nafs. He must be wary of intermingling with evil people and corrupt company, because they are more dangerous to him than scabies and this kharash. So sohbat and choosing good companionship, befriending saintly and pious people is absolutely amazing, due to which a person gains the greatest excellence. It is therefore that the Sahaba gained the greatest excellence because of their Sahabiyat, their Sohbat, their companionship with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They gained the greatest excellence. إذا سخر الله لسعيد فكلهم سعداء. When Allah Ta'ala makes people subservient to a fortunate one, then leave the fortunate one, the whole lot of them that have surrounded the fortunate one, each one of them has now become a fortunate person. Yourself, you should stay in the company of pious people, but not only that, your children as well. Take them in the company of the Ahlullah. Allah हमको अपने बच्चों को नेक sohbat naseeb farmaye. Allah Ta'ala bless us and our children with good company, the company of the Ahlullah. Hazrat Tanvi used to say that take your children and put them or leave them also in the company of pious and saintly. Take them, come and go with them to the company of the pious, because that sohbat will definitely leave an imprint and have great effects on that child. Hazrat Wala speaks about his honorable father, saying that we were very, very young and he used to take us to the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb, but it was with much difficulty. What can I tell you? That we had to go through water also, and sometimes there was even this type of a fear that with the water going this way, that way, that we would go underwater. You know, what can I tell you about Fatehpur? In simple, must I say it this way here, it is like a jazeera. It's like an island which is surrounded all four round by water. So nevertheless, we used to go in that halat to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb, and father used to say, sit like this and do this and do that. So the sohbat and the companionship of the mashayikh is jari, and it is continuous, and the fuyuz and the barakat of the blessings and these spiritual waves of the mashayikh are also continuous. They continue. We went to many of the buzrugs, and their fuyuz and the barakat is continuing. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of practicing on the ta'aleem that they have passed over to us. Allah Ta'ala give me a speedy recovery, external and internal, zahiri and batini. You know, sickness, what to do? You people make me maaf. You know, up till today, I never ever sat like this in front of people. I never ever spread my feet in front of someone. But today, forcefully, majbooran, without having no choice left, I had to do this here. Allah Ta'ala give me such sihat and such health that I can do amal that will be a means of taking me closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala bless us and entrench within us adab, respect, etiquettes, culture. Allah Ta'ala bring this year within us. Allah bless us with His riza and His pleasure. The silsila and this pattern that people come and sit in the majlis, etc., that we have continuously going every day. Allah Ta'ala keep this also going continuously and make it for me a means and for my awlad as well. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb, Hazrat Tanvi, what can I say? I make dua for them that Allah Ta'ala makes their maghfirat. My dua is for them and all our mashayikh, whether they were Chisti or whether they were Naqshbandi. Allah Ta'ala give them jazaya khair, and Allah Ta'ala bless us with their ulum. Allah Ta'ala forgive them. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.